Guess what we're here for tonight? I'm dressed as a witch, that's a hint. So we're going to talk about Halloween. And actually, I am sitting here with a real live witch. His name is Mark Eadicicco. I've known him for how many years now, Mark?
At least over 7.
At least
seven,
that?
yep.
Really? Wow, that long. Time flies,
Yep.
huh? Anyway, though, and Mark is going to tell us all about Halloween and its origins and why it's celebrated and how it's celebrated and how the witches celebrate it. And I want to just say welcome, Mark.
Thank you for having me.
Oh,
It's
my
always
pleasure.
A pleasure.
It's always a pleasure to have you. And we haven't done a show in like at least a year or so, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Good year or better.
Yes.
And so now we're doing another show that we did. We talked about Halloween on another show years ago, but Mark has done a lot of research and he's got a lot of information for us tonight. So let's get started, Mark, by me asking you, where and when did Halloween originate?
Well, actually, Halloween itself is a pre-Christian. It's a pre-Christian holiday, which means that Halloween was before Christianity.
Okay, so
And
then it's more than 2,000 years
It's more
old.
than 2,000 years old. And actually, the witches, we call it Samhain.
Uh-huh.
And Samhain basically is the time of year where the veil between the worlds are very thin.
Which means you can speak to spirit.
You can speak to spirits, you can do mediumship, you can get gifts from them. And when I say gifts, it's messages from the other side, basically.
Uh-huh.
It's a time to actually dress up, have some
Right.
fun. As witches, what we do is we dress up in things that we want to project for the new year. Because actually Samhain is the witches' new year.
Right.
The year is basically broken up into 2 equal parts. It's summer and winter. Halloween, which is the 31st, is considered, we're going into now the winter months. Mm-hmm. So we project positive things that we would like to bring into our lives, but we always honor our ancestors. That's the most important thing, because
If not for them, we wouldn't be here.
exactly, and those are the spirit world. The spirit's what we connect with. So within the spirit world, when we talk to them and we do mediumship with them, they can give us hints about our lives and we can draw in information that we need. The veil is so thin, so we can do this work at that time.
Well, you can also, so the veil is so thin also that if you're, will it come through in any kind of divination then that you're trying to accomplish, such as crystal ball reading? You have a crystal ball here. You have one of those, that black mirror.
The black mirror
Yeah.
is actually a scrying mirror.
Right, they call it, so that's the kind of mirror that Nostradamus was using when he was doing all his predictions.
Absolutely. What you do with the scrying mirror is you basically have a dark room, okay, and you have one candle that you'll light behind you. So there's no other light around you. Mm-hmm. It's just the flickering of the candle behind you,
Right.
so you could see the images. And what you're going to do is you're going to almost go into a trance-like state where you kind of lower your brain waves and you look into the black mirror. Black is the reflection. Black is going to show us. It's going to draw in, because black is a combination of every color.
Uh-huh.
So black's going to draw in from the spirit world. You'll start to see symbols. Divination is all about symbolism. It's what we see. Even tarot cards. Tarot cards, it's a 78 card deck, and in every situation, every psychic can see something different. So the meaning of a card might mean something different to me than it does to you. It's how we interpret it.
Really?
And even when I do my readings, I tell people all the time, work with me, because I'm getting symbols, I'm seeing things in my head. These are just tools. These are just tools for our brain to kind of kick into gear and see exactly what needs to be seen. So if I'm working with you and I may see, let's say, a pink rose, it can mean something different to me than you. So I'll present that to you and I'll say, I'm seeing a pink rose.
And I might say, well, that might mean friendship or something.
Exactly. Or it could be a relative that you had that a pink rose symbolizes something very important to them.
Or maybe they grew pink roses
Absolutely.
or something. Right.
And it'll click in your head.
Uh-huh.
So these are tools. The crystal ball, again, this is clear quartz. Clear quartz is basically, when we look into this, we'll start to see images. we'll start to see symbolism. And these just reflect light. They bring in light, and it kind of triggers our third eye. It triggers our third eye to see different things.
You ever put the crystal ball on top of the mirror and see what happens?
Yeah, right? I never tried it, but it's interesting.
I don't know, it just came to me.
Yeah. I like sometimes to use a combination of different tools. I like sometimes to use my tarot cards along with runes, especially on Samhain, because that's when not only a witch's energy is the most powerful, but psychics as well, and muggles. You know, muggles is, you ever see Harry Potter? They called non-magical people muggles.
Oh, yeah.
And I say everybody's magical anyway. Some people just don't know it. Some people just don't want to develop it. But I say anyone can do this. We're all born psychic. And to get back on track, what I was talking about, tarot cards, sometimes what I'll do is I'll pull a couple of runes on the side just to validate for me that what I'm doing is right.
Or that the
and what
cards
I'm
and the
seeing,
runes are in
absolutely.
agreement.
Yep. Because again, it's interpretation of what I'm seeing and what I'm feeling. I'm always continuously learning. Every day.
We
and
all are.
Absolutely.
Yes. We don't stop learning ever.
And what I'm picking up on lately too is I'm feeling the energy of spirits. And I'm actually, I would say the last 30 readings that I've done, we've been getting messages from the other side. And sometimes I'll sit there and I'll say, okay, should I say this? And it's, knock on wood, everything is coming out correctly. Now, I've been seeing spirits since I'm 4 years old. The thing is, I've never done mediumship professionally because it always took something out of me. With the tarot cards, I'm always able to get my energy back, but with mediumship readings, it's tough because you're working one-on-one with somebody else's soul.
You think that's the same for every medium?
I do.
Yeah?
I really do. But now it's my readings are actually being more generated that way. And I almost feel like my mother's energy is gearing me towards that because we always do something different. And I'm starting to, like, do you ever hear of automatic writing?
Yes, of course.
Because now, as I'm doing my readings, I'm writing.
I did a show about
And I'm
that too a
writing.
long time ago, yeah. Because you sit there and you're in a very relaxed state, you have a pen or pencil, and paper, and all of a sudden your hand just starts going.
Yep.
And you have no control over it or no thought of what's going on to the page, and then you look down and there's a message there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
So I believe everybody has this ability and everybody has this talent. It's just sometimes some people have to fine-tune it and develop it. And what a better time than Samhain, Halloween, to do this.
Oh, sure.
You know, it's because the veil is so thin. There's 2 times a year that the veil is thin. It's May 1st,
May 1st.
which we consider Beltane.
Oh.
And that's a night where the fairies come alive. And when I say fairies, I just mean lights of energy. Some people believe in angels.
Yeah.
Some people believe in fairies. To me, it's just all light energy. And on that particular night, May 1st, I feel the veil is very thin. We can communicate with our ancestors, but also on Samhain too. It's 2 equal parts. It's summer and winter.
Oh, really now? I didn't know about May 1st.
And May 1st, with they say the maypole, which
Yes.
is usually the maypole as well.
Well, it's a Russian holiday.
Yep. It's all about rebirth.
Right. Well, it's spring and all
Yep.
that stuff. Yeah, I understand. So getting back to the origin of Halloween, though, why was it started? Because, I mean, now it marks a new year, and it was started over 2,000 years ago before Christianity. And these people, at that point in time, were they dressing up in costumes and going around and asking for whatever was their sweets in those days or whatever?
Well, the whole thing was that on October 31st, back when paganism was very strong, people were very superstitious. And they believed if they dressed in costume, that the evil spirits would not recognize them and wouldn't hurt them.
Right.
You know, in this day and age.
Especially if you look scary.
Exactly. So they would dress up in horrific costumes, and it would keep the evil spirits at bay. You know, it's 2012.
Yeah.
You know, we don't have that superstition as much right now.
No, no.
You know?
And that was the same reason for the jack-o'-lantern.
Absolutely.
To hollow out a pumpkin and put a candle inside. That was supposed to scare off evil spirits.
It was supposed to scare away evil spirits, and actually it originated with gourds and squashes first.
Oh, yeah?
And then the jack-o'-lantern came.
Wow.
So, you know.
Everything just evolves.
Exactly. You know,
Right.
with religion and culture, everything changes.
Yes.
But in the same respect, I feel it stays the same. It has that old world feel to it. And if you look, Halloween is the second largest holiday besides Christmas.
It's true.
You know,
It's true.
people
And-
want to dress up. People want to have one night of fun
Yeah.
where you can get rid of all your taboos
Uh-huh.
and you could be uninhibited and just dress up and have fun and almost have a mask on of someone else. And I don't mean literally put a mask on, but put a different face on.
Right.
Because how magical and how cool is that?
Yeah,
You know?
I mean, there was somebody today that I happened to just see from a distance and looked right at me. And I think that because my hair was in a ponytail and I was wearing my sunglasses, he didn't recognize me and he just didn't. And usually this person says hello to me, right?
Right.
And I looked a little different, so he just walked right by like he didn't know me.
Right.
You know, and I says, oh, he didn't say hello this time. Oh, well, that's all right. Anyway, but yeah. So then even back then, and even primitive costumes, I guess they would have had at that time. And nowadays, Halloween has become, like you said, it's almost like Christmas because so many sales go on, costumes and parties and
parties are
candy
big, yeah.
and all of that kind of stuff. And a lot of money gets spent nowadays. It's been very commercialized, just like Christmas.
Absolutely, yeah. Halloween's been very commercialized, but you know, it's I think taking what we have and like with everything, we just expand on it. But with Samhain, I almost feel like it's such a big influence right now to people that want to learn a little bit more about what we do.
Yeah.
And back, like we talked about before Christianity, Halloween was very big. And it was almost an observed holiday back then because people believed in this. People believed in lighting bonfires to keep away the evil spirits. That's how a lot of the customs actually got started.
I imagine it's all primitive stuff, sure.
You know, the black cat, the bats.
What does the black cat symbolize? Something good or something?
Well, again, too, with superstitions, people think, you know, if a black cat crosses your path, you're going to be cursed, or you'll have 7 years of bad luck. Totally not true. A black cat...
Sit down, breaking a mirror, it's not going to...
No, exactly. A cat is just a familiar, and what that means is a cat used to work with the witches, and they still do, but a cat can actually go between the worlds. And when I say that, I almost mean like when we cast a circle, when witches cast a circle, a cat can go in and out of the circle without breaking it. Well, a human, if we were to go outside of the circle, we would break it.
Uh-huh.
So cats can actually travel in and out. Cats are always in an alpha state. Cats are always psychic.
Uh-huh.
They see things.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yep.
That's amazing. I know that during the, I think it was the Middle Ages, where they used to kill off the cats because they thought that they were evil.
Yep.
And then the next thing you know, we were plagued by the plague. And it was because the cats were not keeping the rodent
Yep,
population
absolutely.
in check.
Yep.
And so, I mean, cats are a necessary animal to have around.
Cats, also the bats too, because people would light bonfires
Yeah.
at that time, and the bats would actually circle the bonfire.
Uh-huh.
So they always associated with that with being something dark and something evil. And I've done enough shows with you.
Yes.
And you know, I try to educate Staten Island and beyond what witches do. And I always say, there is no true negativity. It's usually within the individual. So when people ask, are you a good witch or a bad witch, to me, I
You
say,
always say there's no such thing as a
there's
bad
no
witch.
such, you know, it depends on the person, because there could be a good Christian and a bad Christian.
True.
You know, it's depending on the person.
Oh yeah, it
Yeah,
always depends
absolutely.
on the person. There are evil people, there are people that are good, and then there are those that are in between.
Yep.
So wherever you go, whatever nationality, religion, whatever, there's always good and
exactly.
bad.
You know, it's always that. So I don't like to use the word negative all the time.
Right.
You know, it's just an incorrectness. I'll say incorrectness of a person or a situation, which we'll try to neutralize. But you know, I do feel that we can also use this time of year to, like I said, get messages from the other side, but I strongly suggest do not use a Ouija board.
No, I got rid of mine.
Yep.
I got rid of it. I told somebody that that would know what to do with it. Get rid of it, destroy it, whatever you're going to do with it. I don't want it in my house anymore. And I used it on quite a few occasions, and thank God with no ill effects.
Right. The Ouija board,
But it could bring on very bad things.
it opens portals.
Yeah.
It does work. It's weird too because, you know, people think because it has like almost like a Monopoly kind of look, and you can buy it. Now you can even buy it in drugstores.
Really? Because I
can
know
buy it-
you could, it's a Parker Brothers supposedly game.
Exactly.
That you could get in a toy store.
Yep. Now they have it in local
So
drugstores. I
they're
saw.
still really pushing those things,
They're
huh?
pushing them, and they open portals. And if you don't know
What you're
what
doing.
you're doing, you can open up a portal and leave something behind that you don't want
Or open
in the
it up
house.
for things to come in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I remember when I was younger, I have actually an Italian heritage, Italian background, and I remember seeing my mom and my aunts doing some sort, they were saying something in Italian, and they had a three-legged table, and the table would actually move,
Wow.
and they would do it every Halloween. And
And how would the table move?
it had three legs on it, you know, like a three-legged table.
Right, would it like
And
walk or
you-
something?
It would actually go towards a specific person. And I remember to this day, I mean, to me it was amazing. It was something I was, you know, brought up around. Somebody else would think it's weird.
Right,
you
but
know?
this is something you
This
grew
was
up
something I grew
knowing.
up, so it was, you know, second nature to me.
Right.
And these are customs that I still do. So these are
So you
things
have
that
a
I still
three-legged
do.
table?
We kept the table. So even after my mom passed, we still have the table.
Yeah, do you keep it at the shop?
We don't keep it at the shop, we keep it at the house.
Oh, I
Yep.
see.
Because even with the shop too, a lot of people come in, which means a lot of energy comes into the shop. So having crystals and having my own tarot cards and my tools, everything has to be continuously cleansed.
Right.
Either with white sage or frankincense and myrrh.
Right.
Which I like the frankincense and myrrh better. And I smoke out the place. But something so important, and not that tools aren't important because they are, but something so family orientated, something that was passed down to
Right.
me, I would keep in the house because I wouldn't want somebody else's energy to go
I
into
understand
that.
what you're saying, yeah. I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Speaking of your shop's down on Castleton Avenue, right?
Yes.
On, what's the number on Castleton Avenue?
The address number?
The address.
It's 1457 Castleton.
1457 Castleton. And you have a Witches Ball coming
We
up.
actually do. Very excited about that.
Yeah, just break away and tell us a little bit about your Witches Ball coming.
Perfect. I actually started, it's the first annual Witches Ball, so it's never been done on Staten Island before.
Uh-huh.
And what we're going to do is, can I say the name?
Yeah,
We actually rented a hall.
a hall at Cafe Del
Cafe Del Mondo.
Mondo
We,
on
have the
Victory
party room.
Boulevard. You have the party room
Yep.
upstairs.
So it's going to be a 4-course meal. We're going to do dancing. We have DJ coming in. Costume contest is costume only.
Oh, yeah?
Costume only.
Well, that's October. That's very near Halloween.
It's very close to Halloween, so it'll be the 27th.
The 27th, which is a Saturday.
It's a Saturday.
Saturday night, October 27th at Cafe Del Mondo.
And I say it's open to witches, but also everyone. Because people are asking me, do you have to be a witch to come? And you don't.
No, I'm sure.
Absolutely not. We're showing people too who we are and what we do.
Yeah.
And we're integrating into society. So what we're doing is we're saying, okay, you know what? We're having this big party. It's to celebrate our new year.
Right.
Let's all get together. Because to me, accepting one another is the biggest challenge that we have, no matter who you are, what you do, what religion, what
Well,
sex,
that's
what
what
race.
we're all here for, to accept each other, to understand each other, and to help each other. In the meantime, though, so your Witches Ball, just give us your telephone number, so if anybody is interested
Absolutely.
in coming, they would have to call you.
They would have to call me, and the tickets are exclusively through the shop.
Right.
The number is 347-242-6947.
Okay, it's right here on the card.
Yes.
347-242-6947. If anybody's interested in going to the first annual Witches Ball, give Mark a call.
It's gonna be so
and he'll give
exciting.
you all the details. Okay, very good. Now, so, all right, so what were we talking about before we...
We were talking about the different decorations and the different meanings, the
So
pumpkins.
even back
and
then, when Halloween first started, they decorated and all that stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, and these are just some of the symbols that we put together, you and I, before the show. Witches and goblins and pumpkins. If you look into the meaning behind them, the skull, which can be a little scary to some people,
Oh, yeah, sure.
all that means is rebirth and transformation.
Aha.
That means that basically a skull is our cranium. So it's rebirth. It's, when we look at a skull, these are almost like, I see them like Day of the Dead, because every culture has a day to honor the dead. And that's what Halloween's all about, too.
It's just like the day after Halloween is All Saints Day.
Exactly, All
and
Souls
the day
Day.
after that is All Souls Day, where the Christians honor their dead.
Exactly. And then you have like the Mexican beliefs of the Day of the Dead.
Uh-huh.
And there's also some customs in Italy that I heard where they actually wash the bones of their ancestors.
Well, did you dig them up?
I would assume so, because they take the bones and they clean them and they wash them, because they say that that is part of their energy.
Well, I don't understand that, though, because
That's a little macabre.
Yeah.
It sounds like something I wouldn't do.
No,
but,
me either.
Yeah.
No, leave them and let them rest. But did they wash the same ancestors' bones every year
I
or
think
something?
so. I believe so.
So then where
It
do they
became a
keep them in the
custom.
meantime?
I don't know. I think it's probably in like a burial ground area there.
Or some kind of a cabinet or
Yeah.
something? Wow,
It's
that's...
a little creepy.
Yeah,
but,
tell me
you
about
know, as I was looking up the different customs and stuff like that too, I came across that as well.
Uh-huh. Well, yeah, I guess you would.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you know, they
so-
do things in Japan as well, England, Ireland, Scotland. A lot of stuff for Halloween originates from the Celts, Celtic religions, Celtic mythology. So it's all Ireland, England, Scotland.
So you think that those are the places
Where it originated.
It originated.
Absolutely. The Druids.
And all of this originated in these places before the time of Christ.
Yeah, absolutely.
So then the Celts were doing this way before Jesus came along. And they're obviously still doing it. Although a lot of the Celts, I believe, have become Christian, too, after that.
Well, what had happened was when the new religion, which was Christianity, rose, a lot of the pagans turned to the new God, which was Jesus.
The pagans turned to Jesus?
Yeah, because what happened was when Jesus actually arose, the Christian church said there can't be any more paganism. You can't worship a goddess anymore. You have to worship this one God. So a lot of the pagans actually converted. But if you look, you would see a lot of pagans wearing a cross and a pentacle.
Uh-huh.
And a pentacle, the only thing a pentacle is a 5-pointed star, which means protection. It's earth, air, fire, water, and the Great Spirit, which is protection for witches.
Uh-huh. I see. Wow, that's very interesting. So then so I know that the Christians, I mean the holly wreath and
Oh, yes.
the Christmas tree and even decorations the Christians took that stuff, those ideas from the pagans.
Paganism.
And we use these things up to this day. But actually, it started with the pagans.
A lot of customs, even the wedding band,
Really?
was a pagan symbol because it's a circle,
Right.
and the circle to witches was it never ends. Life never ends. It just keeps going around and around, and that's why we believe in reincarnation as well.
Right.
To witches, and these are different traditions now, so don't hold me to it because there's also different traditions in witchcraft.
Okay.
But to the tradition that I practice and Richie practices is that we believe that the souls who passed during the year actually go into the light on Halloween. So your soul actually passes to the other world on Halloween. That's why the night is so big and the night is so magical.
Really?
And it's filled with, it's life and death, and it's excitement. When people hear the word death, they get scared because
Oh,
they think
sure.
it's final.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's not. It's
No.
just going from this plane
To
until the
another.
next plane.
Right.
You know, and as witches and psychics, we're able to understand it a little bit more.
Yeah.
And maybe spread the word a little bit more and help people, even with the grieving process.
Yes.
Because so many people are grieving, and I read for a lot of people. And, you know, their mom or their dad could have passed away, or their lover could have passed away 10 years ago, and they're still grieving and not over it.
Right.
So as a spiritual counselor, too, we try to, and I know it's off topic, but we try to help in that respect, too.
Of course.
You know, with Samhain and Halloween being the busiest season for witches, because everybody wants to know as well what's going to happen
Next year.
for the next year.
Right.
You know, even though it's not other religions' New Year's, it's our New Year's, it's still coming to the end of the year. You know, the day after is November, so you only have November and December, and then we have a new year. So it's exciting to find out what's going to happen.
Excuse me. Yes, that's true. So then, all right, so now let's get into modern times. We still do all of these things that were done 2,000 years ago,
Yep.
and now even like little children get involved.
Oh, yeah.
Did this happen 2,000 years ago also, that the little children were involved in all this?
Well, what happened was, it was really, to me, I feel it was more of the adults, because what the druids and the magicians were to do was they would always ensure that the new year would be prosperous and that the cattle would be healthy and people would be healthy. So you left it almost up to the shaman kind of energy.
Uh-huh.
But nowadays, it's become a children's holiday because, again, too, it's a time to dress up. It's almost like living a fairy tale, because you could be anything and anyone that you want.
Well, I grew up celebrating Halloween. My mother and father, you know, we celebrated it. We used to have, when I was a kid, they had what they called a ragamuffin parade, and it went down to Richmond Terrace, where they gave prizes out for costumes and everything. And my mother used to make costumes for my sister and I. Excuse me. Unfortunately, when I was growing up, every other Halloween I was sick.
Oh.
And I had to stay home. And my sister had to go out trick-or-treating, and when she came back, she had to split her candy with me. But what are you going to do? She didn't mind, though, you know? She was pretty good about it.
She was good about it.
She was just glad she was out there getting it, you know?
Because it's a night, like I said, it's a night of fun. You know, it's a night where if you want to be a fairy princess,
You can.
You can. You know, in this day and age when there's so much going on with bullying and people just not feeling good about themselves and not having self-esteem and self-confidence, dress up. And this is another way to do this as well, because Halloween, you want to project something good into your life and something you want to be. So if you want to be beautiful and you're female or you're male, you know,
Whatever.
yeah, you can dress up as a fairy or a princess. You know, put lots of makeup and glitter on, and because that will reflect. If you want money, you can actually take fake money and pin it to your clothes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Just like that commercial with the guy on the motorcycle, and he's all got money all over the place.
Yep, because that will help attract. You know, if you want to be strong, you could be a bear. Just the main thing, as I always say about Samhain and Halloween, is use your imagination. Because that one night, too, it's all about imagination. It's all about fun. And whatever you feel is right and correct, you can manifest that. You can bring that into your life.
Yeah.
It's such a powerful Sabbath, because to witches, this is our highest Sabbath. This is it. It's the biggest night of the year.
And that's bigger than anything to,
Yep,
to
absolutely.
the witches. Yeah. I've spent a couple of Halloweens in Salem.
Yep.
And that is an experience, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and one of the things that I noticed early on when I first started going to Salem, I must have been there 3 or 4 times for Halloween since around 2000, I guess it was. Anyway, so, and one of the things I noticed, though, was that there are people, when everyone's out there and they got costumes on, they're having a great time, and then there's a whole bunch of fuddy-duddies standing on the side with signs protesting.
Yep.
Now, they're protesting because they are saying things like, oh, this is the devil's work and all this kind of stuff, and you're all going to burn in hell because you got a costume on and you're celebrating Halloween. What do you say about that?
Well, I think you're always going to have your extremists, and no matter, you know, what we do or where we are, In Salem, it's probably more your target.
Yeah.
Because everybody is dressed up, everybody's having a good time.
Yeah, so they get to hit more people that way.
Exactly.
But they're hitting the wrong people, because those are the people that don't care about what they're saying.
It's probably even not the people that are witches in the religious aspect.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the witches in Salem, they do their own parties and stuff like that, so a lot of them own shops. So they won't be really walking around the street unless they're having like a witch tour. So a lot of people that these people are protesting are just average people who want to dress up and have fun, and you have the extremists who are trying to ruin that for them.
So really, they're wasting their time.
Exactly. But they don't just target witches. I've been there last year, and they were targeting homosexuals, and it was just so overwhelming, because you can't even go out and have a good time anymore without somebody putting a sign in your face.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, with me, I let people know I'm a witch. I live my life as a witch.
Yeah, you're not
every
ashamed
day.
of that.
Absolutely not. I wear my pentacle. I don't care if I'm running into Dunkin' Donuts or, you know, just food shopping. We're everyday people.
Yeah.
You know, I am just truly blessed that I'm able to own a shop.
Yeah,
And be
it's
able,
a nice
knock
shop,
on
too.
wood, thank you, make a living by helping and also educating. Because educating's the big thing. Educating people on what witches are.
Oh, yeah,
who
well,
we
there are
are.
a lot of people that have the notion, their own notions about what Wiccan is and what it isn't, and they have their own beliefs about it, and if they read up on it a bit, they might be a little bit more understanding.
Exactly. You know, just to read and, you know, educate themselves. Even the research that I've been doing over the last 25 years, because I've been doing this for about 25 years, like I said, we're always learning something different. And just by sitting down and doing some research for tonight's show, too, I've learned about other cultures. So if people just took the time before going out with signs and, you know, saying, oh, you're in Salem and it's Halloween, so you're going to go to hell, you know, it's
Well,
just...
people really can't make those assumptions.
No,
because
exactly.
People,
There's psychics who are Christian. There's some witches who practice Christianity.
yeah, I know. There are people.
Don't box yourself in.
Right.
You know?
There are people who are Christians. They practice their Christianity. They believe in God and Jesus and all that, but they also believe that there's something to the elements of nature that they
Exactly.
could harness and use to their advantage.
You know, even lighting candles. I mean, this is a candle that actually Richie made.
Oh,
He
wow.
does all by hand.
Wow.
And this is a skull candle. And this particular candle,
What would-
this actually has patchouli and our own special, we call it witch's brew. It's a special oil. When you've seen us make oils.
And what will this candle do?
This candle is going to actually help people communicate with their ancestors. So this should actually be lit on October 30th at midnight, going into the 31st.
Right.
So like at that midnight, so you have it burning a whole 24 hours. And by having this lit, you're going to, like I said, get signs, get validations, maybe even dream about people who passed on that want to give you a message.
Really?
Halloween is very, very strong. The energy is very, very good, but very, very strong as well.
And getting back to being a Christian, we go to church and we light candles.
Absolutely.
And it's really the same thing, because you're actually just putting out energy to get a result, all right? Sometimes your result will be that you're praying for someone who's sick or someone who's dead or or whatever, or you're asking for a favor or whatever the case may be. But you go into church, you kneel down. A lot of people say that Catholics talk to statues. We don't talk to statues. Okay?
Right.
We talk to the
Energy.
that the statue represents.
Exactly.
If you're talking to St. Teresa, you're not talking to the statue. The statue's not going to do anything for you. It's a bunch of plaster.
Right.
But who it represents, that's your focus.
Absolutely.
You know?
It's a tool.
It's a tool.
It's a tool.
Just like in Wiccan, there's tools, and in Catholicism, there are tools.
Yep.
And they all really amount to about the same thing.
One door, many different keys that open that one door. That's
Right.
religion.
Yes.
You know, and if we take the time to understand it, we'll be better people for it.
Uh-huh.
My thing is, somebody had asked me the other day, because we were talking about the Witches Ball, and they said, you know, if I can either change or see something different for the future of Halloween, what would it be? And I would love for Halloween, and I see it. I don't know if it's going to be in my lifetime, but I see it being an observed holiday, where if you say, I'm a witch, and I would like to have Halloween off, you can get it off. Or
It
my children,
would have to become a law.
My child's a witch, and you know what? On this particular day, on Halloween, I like to keep my child home. Every other religion does it.
Yeah, sure.
You know? And I would love to see that. And if we make little milestones, to me, it's a big,
Well, you
it's
may
the
see
whole.
it in your lifetime.
I hope
You're
so.
young
I really
enough.
do. You know, and these are things that we're trying to change and we're trying to do. It's not all about just having, you know, spooky decorations. The holiday itself is very beautiful and meaningful.
And fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there's two ways you can do. You can observe it as a religious night and do ritual. You can observe it as a fun night and have a party, or you can do it together.
Well, I was going to say, we could
Yep,
do both.
Because what we're going to do as well is also we're going to have a witch's circle
At the party.
at the party. And what I'm going to tell people is if you'd like to participate, you may. If you wouldn't, you know, like to, you don't have to.
Right.
But the only thing that we're going to do is we're going to do a circle, and we're going to only project good things into our lives.
Well, that's what the Wiccan
That's
religion
it.
is all about, is about being, you know, doing good things.
Exactly.
Tell me, is there any particular number of people that are supposed to be in one of these circles, or
Well,
doesn't matter?
Traditionally, they say 13,
Uh-huh.
but it's 2012,
Yeah.
so it doesn't matter.
Doesn't
I
matter.
mean, you know, as long as we can get everybody in a circle, it's fine.
Right.
You know, and conduct the circle and actually charge the energy of that night.
So what goes on during one of these circles?
Well, what we do is we usually have an altar as well. And our altars are usually decorated with pumpkins and gourds, anything that has to do with the nature and the particular elements of that. So it would be fall. So we would put leaves on the altar, we would put pumpkins and gourds, and candles that represent the colors. So usually we would do black and orange. Black is the combination of all colors, and the orange represents the harvest. So we would light the candles in conjunction of doing prayers. And as you were saying, Christians do prayers, we do spells. It's the same thing.
Right, you're calling upon higher-ups to do something that you would like them to do, to see something happen that you would like to see happen.
Exactly.
And that's what happens when you pray and light a candle in church and everything.
You manifest it, you draw it down. That's all it is. It's, you know, it's a projection. And as long as it's right and correct, you'll get it.
What is the witch's motto?
The witch's motto is do it that wilt and it harm none, which means we can do whatever we want.
As long as
it
you don't
doesn't
hurt anybody.
anyone, any
Any living
animal,
thing, right?
Yep, plant.
Well, yeah.
And it also, we
Well,
believe
sometimes when it comes to plants, I mean, you know, you have to eat and all that, you know.
Right. With the plants and stuff, that kind of goes into the green witchcraft too. And again, that's another tradition. That's not what we practice.
Right.
But, you know, as long as you don't harm any animal, person, situation, because it's
mind your
karma.
own business.
Exactly, it's karma. Somebody might have to go through what they're going through.
Yes,
You know, and
that's
it-
true.
it could
Sometimes
be,
that's the case.
You know, a dictator or something bad that happens in the past, a person, you know, even, again, off topic, but a person like Hitler. That was his karma, you know, and I'm sure he's paying for his sins,
I'm sure.
you know.
We
And
all pay for our sins.
absolutely. So it's the individual's act, and that's what we believe in. It's a threefold law. It means whatever we do gets sent back to us threefold, good or bad. So if we do something good, we get it back 3 times. So why do something bad? Why?
But there are
Yeah,
people,
there are
out
people that
there-
will.
Yeah, they will
You know,
anyway. They
but you
think
have
they're
to
going to get
think.
away with it.
Yep.
But they don't realize that karma is a real thing, and what you do
Absolutely.
comes back to you.
Yep. And sometimes I say tenfold. Because, you know,
It depends on the universe and
Yeah.
what it feels like giving you at
yeah.
that point.
And you know, some people, they can do bad things in this lifetime and get away with it, but guess what? You're going to come back in the next lifetime and we do it all over again.
That's right.
You know?
That's right.
So none of us, I don't care how spiritual you are, none of us can outrun karma.
And you can't outrun God.
Nope. You know, whoever you believe in, whoever's looking down on you, God, goddess, angels, we have to respect it.
Yeah.
And no matter how many spells we do, and I tell people this all the time, if you're doing a spell and it's not correct and it's not going to come out, you can do 1,000 candles. If it's not right and correct,
It's not going to work.
It's not going to work. Why would you want it? Why would you want something that's not right
For
or
you.
correct?
That's right.
And you know what? We're human, so it does take us a while to get it,
Yes,
you know?
yes.
But after, learning and teaching, and I think at such a young age for me, growing up around this, I've learned sooner because I've seen the threefold law. None of us are perfect.
No, of course not.
So we send thoughts out too sometimes, and we have to neutralize them. But I think I've learned so much at a young age seeing my mom practice and what she taught me as well. And it's just amazing. It really was. It was an amazing experience that I would never give it up. Never give it up.
No, I mean, as long as I've known you, you're very happy with what you're doing.
Absolutely. I always say, as long as I'm able to put a roof over my head and food in my mouth, I'm happy.
Yeah.
You don't need a Lexus, you don't need a Mercedes to drive around in. I'm happy. I have a new car, I'm happy, I'm fine. You know what I'm saying? No, I live in a mansion.
Right.
As long as I'm humble about it.
Oh, sure, and grateful.
Yep. And every day, I knock wood and say how blessed I am.
Oh, yeah.
Every day.
That is one way to get blessings also, is to say how blessed you are and then say how grateful you are to be blessed.
Absolutely.
It is very important. An attitude of gratitude for what you have and also gratitude in advance for what you want.
Exactly. And you know what? Some people may want the Mercedes and the big house, and there's nothing wrong with it. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. Go out, do it. I
Go
say,
out, earn the money, get it, you deserve it.
You work hard, you play hard.
Yeah.
And, with me, I am just so happy that I'm able, knock on wood, we're going on 7 years at the shop. We just, August made 7 years.
It wasn't long after you opened up that I walked in there.
It was weeks.
Weeks.
Because I believe you were at the Salvation Army, and you saw the sign.
Yeah, something like that.
And you came in, and we clicked and
as
did a show.
That's right. As a matter of fact, if I recall correctly, you were telling me that you had put out a little energy that, because you knew I had the show, and you put out a little energy that I would walk in and ask you to be on, and that's exactly what happened.
Because I didn't speak to you prior to that at all.
Not
we
at
met
all,
for the first time.
not till the day I walked into your shop. And to tell you the truth, the only way I really knew the shop was there at that point in time. I could have found out about it later.
It was so new.
I would have found out about it eventually, but I knew it early because a lady friend of mine who's now gone, she's a wonderful woman, my friend Muriel, she used to love to go and haunt. You remember Muriel?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, she's passed. Anyway, though, she used to love to go and haunt the, excuse the French, the word, but she used to love to go to the thrift shops.
Yep.
And the Alzheimer's thrift shop was down Castleton Avenue at that time, almost to the end of Castleton Avenue. So we had to pass your shop to get there. And I happened to notice the purple canopy.
Yep.
And I says, oh, look at that. And I had to go there, and then I think one day while we were over at she used to like to go to the Salvation Army too, and which is also no longer there.
Yes.
But anyway, though, and then that's when I came in, and that was
7 years ago.
Yeah.
Like a blink of an eye, it just kind of like flew by.
Oh God! Well, you know what's happening with the 2012 and everything, and everything is speeding up.
Oh yeah.
The time is speeding up.
Everything's going into alignment now.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Anyway, so did a show about that recently too, but in the meantime, no. So it's it's amazing what's how far we've come.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So anything else that you have a little pendulum there? Tell us about the pendulum and what that does.
Absolutely. Now pendulums can come in all different crystals.
Right, you gave me one in rose quartz.
Yes, we did the
I have it
Valentine's Love Show.
Yes, I have that on my vanities. It's in the little box you gave me.
And oh really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I still have it. Yeah.
And that rose quartz is very good to draw love and also for self-esteem and self-confidence. Each crystal does something different. Each crystal represents something different. So what is that?
Some kind of an agate or?
Yeah, and what this one is, the reason why I picked this one is because it has a crow on top.
Okay. Oh yeah, look at that.
I'm so drawn to crows.
Really?
My main goddess is the Morgan, and what that means is she's one of the warrior goddesses, and actually she's the goddess that watches over Halloween, watches over Samhain.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and she shapeshifts into a crow, so she could turn into a crow.
Oh really?
Yep, she's actually the goddess of they call her a warrior goddess.
You know, there were a few times in my backyard there was a crow that was showing up for a while.
Well, crows actually, they're the only bird that actually, crows and ravens, can travel from our world into the spirit world and back. So they bring messages.
Crows, ravens, and cats?
Yep. The crows, though, especially, the crows are very, very magical. And if you find crow feathers, too,
Yeah.
those are signs. If you see a crow on your left side, that means everything will go smooth for you. If it's on your right side, it's caution. So if you're driving, too, and you may see a crow on the right side of the car, as you're driving,
Take
maybe
a different
flying.
route.
Yeah, it's almost like be aware of it. And I know these things may sound
They say the
new
same thing if
agey.
a black cat crosses your path while you're driving, either take a different route or be a little bit more cautious.
Well, actually, too, and Richie and I were driving home from the shop the other day, and a black cat ran across the street. And I'm like, oh, great. And then I stopped, and I said, you know what? Why am I thinking that way? So
Right.
why, of all people, am I thinking that way?
Right.
And I just shrugged it off because, you know, a cat is a cat, no matter what color it is.
That's
you know?
right.
And again, too, anything that we see dark, like the skull head, too, we see it's got the black coloring. We always think of something dark or evil. And it's not. It really isn't. But with the pendulums are amazing because we can ask pendulums yes or no questions. It's also a form of divination.
Right.
I have to say, too, over the years, I've mastered it. What I do is I can actually take playing cards, like the
Regular?
Queen, King,
Yeah.
and Jack out. And with the pendulum, I will ask the pendulum, I'll lay 5 out, and I'll ask the pendulum, is this a King or Queen, yes or no? And I write it. When I first started, I was getting maybe 1 out of 3. Now I do 5 out of 5.
In other words, the pendulum is telling you what card is
Underneath it.
underneath it. Wow.
And that's just an exercise to develop.
I see.
Because then we can start to ask it questions like, you know, am I going to be successful? You know, will I get this job? Will I get this love? And pendulums are very good for that because with the pendulums, it comes from our subconscious mind.
Ah.
So
And your subconscious knows what's
everything.
going on.
Exactly. Our conscious mind knows nothing. It's all subconscious.
So show us, how do you hold the pendulum?
Well, what I do is, and we'll use the scrying mirror because there's also, I call them spirit boards, and we actually make handmade ones too at the shop that say yes, no, and maybe. And I
But
should
it's
have brought
not a
one.
Ouija board.
It's not a Ouija board at all. It has nothing to do with anything like that at all.
Uh-huh.
So what I'll usually do is I'll put it down, and then I'll lift it up, and then I'll keep
Now
my
your
hand
elbow
very
is on the
straight.
table.
And then what you're going to do is you're going to hold it in your hand, and you're going to let your subconscious mind now take over. So I'm going to ask the pendulum to show me yes.
Now it's just going back and forth like a pendulum.
So my up and down is always yes. Everybody's will be different, but once you establish what it is, it always will be the same.
On that same
Yep.
pendulum.
So show me yes. That's my up and down. I'm
That's
going to close
just
my eyes.
back and forth, back and
Yep.
forth.
I'm going to close my eyes. Show me no. Now watch, my hands are still.
It's going around in a circle now.
My circles, my particular circles are no. Now, if you watch my arm and my hand, I'm not moving it at all.
No, you're not.
It's all subconscious.
It's going and it's going around. Now you say to it like stop or something when you want to
Well,
ask a question, or you.
What'll happen is it'll start moving too. Like my brain right now is asking a question too, and I'm like, you know, am I sitting next to Christine?
Okay,
And
well
it'll-
everybody knows that you
yeah,
are.
it'll start moving. So what you want to do is you want to start out with very simple questions, stuff you'll know.
Oh, stuff you know the
Just
answer.
to-
Just
yeah.
to see if it's.
Exactly. Get
it's right on.
established with it.
Ah.
And then you can start asking things too, like, you know, you want to ask it something?
Can't think of anything at the moment, but I do have a question about it. Can a particular spirit, or like say for instance you want to talk to your mother, can you say, Mom, would you control the pendulum?
Well, you can actually, any divination tool, you can actually call an energy in to help you with this. I remember too, and seriously, when I was growing up, people might think I was insane because I remember sitting at the table with my mother, and we would have a cup of tea, and we would use the tea bag. We would squeeze a tea bag and ask it yes or no questions because it worked like a pendulum. A tea bag.
Oh,
so we would
a
sit
used
across from
tea
each
bag
other.
or a
no,
new tea bag?
A used one as we were dunking in our tea.
And you squeeze it out.
You squeeze it out and you start asking questions. I mean, sometimes I think I should be in a loony bin. This is the stuff I do, but it works. And we would just sit across from each other and ask it questions. and it would move, and it would work just like a pendulum. And it'd say, show me yes, and show me no.
I'll have to try that next time I
And
have
we
a cup
would
of tea.
just sit and talk and do stuff like this.
Yeah.
That's the magic that I remember.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
That's what gets me excited. Doing stuff like that.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
Like the family magic. And you can do work with a coven too, but the family magic to me will always be in my heart.
Oh,
That's
sure.
it. Yeah.
Well, now, you're a witch, and your mother was one as well?
Yes.
Was she also a Catholic, or was she?
My dad was Catholic.
Your dad was Catholic, your
My
mother
mom was
Wiccan.
raised Catholic,
Uh-huh.
but she was a witch. So
She's one of those people
yeah.
that practice
She-
both religions.
She went through all, her communion, confirmation, but then she found witchcraft.
Oh,
So
she found
witchcraft,
So
so
it
she
just doesn't go
stopped.
like way back.
Right.
But she stopped being a Catholic to become a Wiccan.
Yeah, it was something that, like me too, it was always something that she felt.
Kind
and
of a
something that
calling
she
in a
was drawn
way.
to. And the family always did moving the tables, and they always did this stuff around her. So lighting candles and incense was always something that was norm for her. But it was just that my grandmother wanted her to have a communion and her confirmation, and she went to Catholic school till she graduated 12th grade. So she knew all about that, but that wasn't for her, even though she went through it for my grandmother. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. With me, she was so much more lenient because she knew
That you had it in you.
I had it in me, and I didn't have to go through what she went through, and almost hiding it from my grandmother at the time.
Oh, no.
And
So
now we all, everybody,
now everybody
knows.
knows.
Yeah.
So what did your grandmother say when she found out her grandson was also into it?
But you know what? My grandmother was very cool about it, too.
Uh-huh.
She was very accepting about it because I explained to her
Yeah.
what we were and what we weren't.
Yeah, well, Wiccans, by and large, are not bad people there, and their beliefs are not anti-God or anything.
No, exactly. We don't bash any other religion. We respect every religion, just like we would want our religion respected.
Yeah.
So it's not, we don't run out and, we don't, like you said, we don't bash anyone
Right.
or do anything like that. But it's just about, tolerance and understanding and accepting. And, doing shows like this, if we can change one person's view or one person's mind, it would be great.
Well, yeah, that's it. Well,
You know?
you see, I've been doing this show for 13 years now, and a lot of people that have recognized me have told me that they do get a lot of information from my shows.
Exactly.
And they learn things that they would not have learned otherwise, information that they would not have come across otherwise.
Exactly.
And so, there you have it.
And can I say too, and I get a lot of people who also say this, and I'm not saying it because you're sitting next to me, but as a host of the show, I truly appreciate that you let me explain.
Oh, of
and
course.
you let me talk about it without.
This is not about me. This is about my audience being able to learn things that they would not normally be able to learn, to come away even with more knowledge and even maybe a greater appreciation of something.
Exactly. If they come out with a little bit more, but I just wanted to take that time to thank you for letting me talk and saying what I had to say.
Yeah, well, that's what you're here for.
Thank you.
That's what I invite my guests for, to talk,
Thank you.
say what they have to say, give information to my audience so that I can share with others whatever I can to make maybe, hopefully, their lives a little bit better.
Because you'll be surprised too, and people that even come into the shop, not all of them are witches,
Yeah.
and a lot of people know of the show.
Oh, yeah, and
And-
many times I've been in your shop and people have walked in and recognized me.
Absolutely. Because you don't just take one topic. You don't just stick to one topic
No.
of just psychics or something. You explore everything. And you
Everything.
let the guests just kind of just indulge.
And I take it as it comes. Whatever topic comes along at that point in time is what I go with.
Absolutely.
Because that's what the universe wants me to do, what God wants me to do, to put out this, just follow what I'm being shown.
Exactly. And that's the whole thing. What we are being shown is what path we need to kind of run with and work with.
Exactly, and we all have to just ask to be put on the right path and shown that that is the right path for us.
And it is hard.
Yeah.
It's very hard, but
You have to be open to the information. You have
and
to
patient.
be open. Yeah, and patient.
And patient.
Yes.
Because even with the candles and the oils, it's divine timing. Everything in the right and correct time.
That's right. So, but getting back to finishing up a
Yeah,
little
absolutely.
about Halloween. So it's the time when the veil is the thinnest. We can have cards read, talk to our
Ancestors,
or
our loved
other
ones.
loved ones that are deceased. And Halloween and May 1st now, as you have told us, are the best days to do that.
And also putting up a ancestral altar, putting pictures or mass cards of people who passed away,
Oh, yeah?
and light a white candle to honor them.
That's a nice idea,
Absolutely. We do ancestral altars at the shop.
Yeah.
And we also do one in the house.
too. Okay.
So even if you had somebody that you'd like to bring a picture of, you can bring it to the shop, and we would absolutely keep it for you throughout the month, and then we'd give it back to you.
That's nice.
Yeah,
Thank
absolutely.
You. Yeah, that's very nice to know. Okay, well, in the meantime, our time is up,
Oh,
and I think
great.
we've covered quite a
Oh,
bit.
absolutely.
We had a nice conversation, and I thank you for coming.
Thank you for inviting me again.
Oh, like I said,
It's
my
always a
pleasure. We'll do
pleasure.
something in the future.
Thank you.
Okay, and everyone, good night and have a happy Halloween.
Yes.